Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And in this series we're going to be going over opposite signs. And in this episode we're going to be talking about the opposite signs of Gemini and Sagittarius, okay? The opposition of Sagittarius and Gemini. And an easy way to understand oppositions is by looking at the astrological chart, which is basically a pie chart, okay, split into 12 sections. Alright, so if you look into this 12 section pie chart, Gemini being the third sign will naturally be opposite to the ninth section, the ninth sign, which is Sagittarius, and vice versa. Okay, so that is the way to look at it through the astrological chart. Okay, Gemini being opposite to Sagittarius, but I'm here to explain it further and how it shows in their attributes and reality, okay, and their energies. And the first thing to understand with the Sagittarius and Gemini opposition is philosophy, being philosophical versus being logical, okay? With Gemini deals with logic, okay? This is, duality, this is, a matter of fact, this is what goes up must come down, logic, how we, see the world mentally and make sense of it, in a logical standpoint. This is how we learn, how we communicate, how we speak language. So it deals with, a lot of times, and the deeper you get into logic, the more complex you get into, the more details. So you can go into mathematics and sciences and, so with Gemini is always dealing with, the details, the basic details. But when it comes to Sagittarius is about philosophy. This is like, okay, I understand how to, use my mind. I know how to use logic. I know 1 + 1 = 2, and you go this, and you do that. But what are the bigger questions about this world? Okay, what are the bigger things you understand, the bigger picture, okay? Why does our world run like this? Like, say if you see, for example, you see an elephant, okay? This is a good example. You see an elephant, the color is gray. Gemini, in logical way, we can explain why, the elephant is gray. We can get into the details of the matter, what it's made of, that has the chemicals made to have made that color appear gray. We can get into the science of it. That's very Gemini. But with Sagittarius deals with philosophy. So it's going to be like, okay, yes, I understand that these chemicals or this way have made it gray, but what is the bigger picture, okay? Maybe the elephant's gray because it's showing that it's neutral and that it's not neither a dark animal or a light animal. Something like that, like a bigger, it's pretty much a philosophy. It's trying to understand it on a larger level. And that's the big differences which you see with Sagittarius versus Gemini, which is Gemini deals with the details, it deals with the facts, it deals with all the information, all the petty stuff. Sagittarius is like trying to deal with the bigger things. It's trying to broaden, it's trying to see the bigger picture. Okay, it wants to see bigger ideas, so it's going to go beyond just, the logic. It's going to say, okay, I have logic, but how do I use this logic now, not to understand the details, but to understand the bigger ideas in life, okay, the bigger picture. Okay, so that's a huge Sagittarius-Gemini opposition. You're definitely going to see, this opposing energy of, the details and the smaller things versus, the bigger things, the wider, the bigger picture, what things are overall. Another thing is that with Sagittarius is very much going to be like a preacher, a professor, whereas I like to say Gemini would be more of like a teacher and a student, because again, with Gemini deals with logic, so it's constantly picking up information, picking up facts, and that makes it a great student. You can teach this person, they can learn a lot, and therefore you can also teach others. You can teach others information. That's very, Gemini. But when you look in Sagittarius, I say Sagittarius is like a preacher or a professor, is because they're not just sitting here and just picking up information and spewing it back. That is very teacher-student Gemini. With Sagittarius is all about you. It's all about your spirituality. It's about your faith, your beliefs, what you want to see, what you want to understand. So a lot of this is preachers. Preachers are very independent. They get to explain people things through their experience. So it's very independent. Professors, they're usually studying something, writing a book, creating something on their own. So their education comes from their personal experience, you know, whereas Gemini, again, is all about just the logic. You know, you pick up the information, you go to school, you learn from the teacher as a student, and then, you know, you become a teacher, you regurgitate that. Whereas Sagittarius is more about, okay, you know, yes, we can just take information, we could just take facts, you know, but what is the bigger picture? How do we see how do we use these facts and this information and see something broader? And that takes your own personal conviction. You know, you can't just be sitting here constantly picking up information from other people. You have to have your own experiences. That's Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about being independent, going on your own journey, you know, seeing the world for yourself, and then letting other people see how you see the world. Okay, because you've been through the experience, you know, so you have to detach from just, you know, the system, you know, that's Sagittarius, you know, detaching from the system, you know. Like when you look at philosophers, a lot of them, you know, they didn't just sit here and just listen to their teachers, you know. The reason why they were able to bring forth amazing ideas is because they asked their own questions. You know, they went and asked their own questions. They went and explored and see their own truth versus just constantly just, you know, taking information from others, you know, which is very Gemini. So that's a big thing when it comes to the Gemini and Sagittarius opposition is, again, you know, Sagittarius is about your own philosophy, your own faith, your own conviction, whereas Gemini is more logical. It's about how well you can retain information, pick up information, and communicate. That's very logical. Okay, so both have their pros and cons. Okay, with Gemini again is very logical. So Gemini is very smart. You know, they're very accurate. They make sense. You know, they're gonna say things on a logical level, which is very important. You have to make sense. You know, where Sagittarius can sometimes be so philosophical, so spiritual that they forget the logistics. They forget the details. They forget, hey, this has to make logical sense. And then vice versa, Gemini can be so much picking up information, learning from people, just regurgitating information, and not really having a true understanding of its own. They're just sitting here reciting and picking up information. They're not truly experiencing it for themselves. Where Sagittarius is like, okay, stop just sitting here picking up information and just regurgitating it. Things change. Go explore. Go see things for yourself. Sagittarius gives you independence. Sagittarius gives you a higher knowledge because you're not just sitting here being some type of like robotic student, but you're taking your own time, your own will to seek out your own truth. And that is very powerful too. That's how we're able to expand people's minds and think outside the box. That is Sagittarius, is higher learning in that sense. So those are kind of like the pros and cons you see with this Gemini Sagittarius opposition. Another thing is that Sagittarius can very much deal with the straight truth, okay? So Sagittarius is all about that conviction, seeing the bigger picture and giving to you, hey, this is what it truly is. Because Sagittarius wants to see the whole truth, the whole way. So it's going to give you the full picture. So it's very much, this is the truth. And it's going for that. It's going for a solution. That's very much Sagittarius. It wants to expose what's really going on. It wants you to see everything. Whereas Gemini can be very devil's advocate, okay? Gemini is very logical. And the thing about logic is very much about duality. It's like what goes up must come down. You know, for there to have an up, you have to have a down. For there to be a left, you have to have a right. You know, for there to be an in, you have to have an out. You know, these are things of logic. You know, it deals with balance, duality, cause and effect. You know, some of those basic things. So Gemini always does that devil advocate, okay? And this is a big thing with Sagittarius and Gemini is Sagittarius wants to know the main truth. It's very straightforward, okay? Very much hitting the target straight to the point. Geminis can be very much all over the place discussing the different options, okay? Because again, it deals with logic. Logic is very much about cause and effect, duality, left and right. You know, that's the basic core of logic, you know. For an up, there must be down, you know, cause and effect. So Gemini is constantly giving you options, playing devil advocate. It could say one thing and then say the other, because there's always an other side to a situation. That's basic logic. So they could play devil's advocate and switch it up a bit. And that could be a huge opposition. And that could be a good thing as well, too, because, again, Gemini can be very flexible. They can see different ways, you know, whereas Sagittarius can be very much like, no, it's this way. This is the faith. This is religion. This is the truth. So it both has its pros and cons, you know, because in one moment, Sagittarius, you know, is more about, you know, having a straightforward answer, giving you a solid truth, and not playing devil's advocate and being trickery and getting into all these lies and whatever. Whereas Gemini, though, however, can be more flexible, give you more options, and not be so strict and straightforward like Sagittarius. Okay. Another thing with these two signs is that, you know, Sagittarius is very much spiritual. It's very much in the body. It's very much about instinct, okay, going. Whereas Gemini is very much in the mind. It's in the thoughts, you know, so they plan out. They're strategizing, you know, they think more, you know, especially with that fire versus air. So yeah, that is the Gemini and Sagittarius opposition. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you did, book a reading with me. I do astro readings as well as tarot. You can email me. I'll have it in the description box below. And also check out my music. I'll also have that in the description box below. All the links on Spotify, Apple, and here on YouTube. And I'll check you guys out on the next video.
Standing in front of me so intensely, so I took a pic and posted away. Couldn't pick up the sign, it's in a chair.